Love makes you believe in things that aren't real. When I married Clara, I thought I had found the one. I believed we had something unbreakable, something different from all those couples who drift apart. I told myself we were special, stronger, more real, and for a long time, I held on to that belief. I wasn't the kind of man who fell in love easily. I had always been cautious, always measured in how much I gave. But Clara, she was different. Or at least I thought she was. From the moment we met, she pulled me in without even trying. She had this infectious laugh, a way of making even the most ordinary moments feel exciting. She was fun, unpredictable. And when she looked at me, I felt like the only man in the world. So I gave her everything. She became my priority. My plans, my future. My entire world revolved around her. I made sacrifices, big and small, to keep her happy. If she needed me, I was there. If she wanted something, I found a way to get it. And for years, I thought she was doing the same for me. But looking back now, I see the truth. She never made me her priority. She just enjoyed being mine. It wasn't sudden. That's the thing people never understand. Relationships don't always explode in a big dramatic moment. Sometimes they fade slowly, quietly, until one day you realize you're standing in the ruins of something you thought would last forever. The signs were always there. Clara never put in the same effort I did. I planned romantic dates, surprise weekends away, thoughtful gifts, little gestures to remind her how much I loved her. And she'd smile and say, "That's sweet," but she never did anything in return. If something more exciting came up, a party, a dinner with friends, an event you want to go to, she wouldn't think twice about canceling our plans. I told myself it was just her personality. She wasn't cold. She wasn't cruel. She still kissed me goodbye in the morning. She still said, "I love you," but love isn't words. Love is action. And her actions told me everything I didn't want to believe. The moment everything changed wasn't dramatic. No screaming, no heated argument, just a conversation that told me everything I needed to know. We were having dinner, just another Tuesday night. I had spent the whole day in back-to-back meetings, pushing through deadlines, running on coffee and sheer willpower. But despite the exhaustion, I was excited. The project I had been working on for months was finally coming together, and I wanted to share it with Clara. I thought she'd be proud. I thought she'd care. I was wrong. She sat across from me, lazily pushing food around her plate, eyes glued to her phone. At first, I kept talking, hoping she'd eventually look up. So if this deal closes, it could be a game changer. I mean, we're talking 6 figures in commissions. It's the biggest contract I've ever handled. No response. I glanced at her. She was scrolling, her face illuminated by the cold glow of the screen. Her fingers tapped away, completely detached from the moment. "Clara," I said, trying again. She hummed, a mindless, meaningless sound. Then a small laugh escaped her lips. Not at me, not at my story, but at whatever was on her phone. She smiled down at it, typing a reply, completely absorbed in a conversation that had nothing to do with me. I stopped talking mid-sentence. Seconds passed. She didn't even notice. I put my fork down, watching her. 10 seconds. 20. 30. Finally, she glanced up. "Oh, sorry. What were you saying?" Her voice was distant, unbothered. I let out a quiet breath. "You didn't hear a single word I said, did you?" She sighed, finally locking her phone. "Kevin, I was just checking something. You always make a big deal out of nothing." I stared at her. Nothing. She leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. "Why does everything always have to be about you?" I let out a small laugh, one without humor. "That's funny, because for years, everything's been about you." She rolled her eyes. "Oh, here we go. When was the last time you put in effort, Clara? When was the last time you planned something? Made me feel like I actually mattered?" She sighed, shaking her head. "Kevin, not everything has to be so serious. You act like I have to prove something to you all the time." I stared at her, waiting, hoping she'd say something, anything, to prove me wrong. Instead, she just shrugged. "Look," she said, her voice cold, detached, "you're just not my priority anymore." Silence. The kind that suffocates. I nodded once, pushing my chair back. Okay. That was all I said. No yelling. No fighting. Just clarity. I took my plate to the sink, washed my hands, and walked upstairs. She didn't follow me. Didn't call my name. Didn't try to fix it. That night, as we lay in bed, I turned my head to look at her, try to remember the last time she had made me feel wanted. I couldn't remember, and that was enough. I knew what I had to do. The next morning, I woke up before the alarm. Clara was still asleep beside me, her breathing steady, peaceful, like she didn't have a single worry in the world, like she hadn't spent years slowly pushing me to the edges of her life. I lay there for a few moments, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of everything pressing down on me. Then I turned my head and looked at her, the woman I had once thought would be my forever, the woman I had given everything to. She looked the same, but she wasn't the same. Or maybe she was, and I was just finally seeing the truth. I exhaled. No more waiting. No more hoping she'd wake up one day and realize she had something worth fighting for. I got up, got dressed, and grabbed my keys, like it was just another day, like I was heading to work, like I would be coming back. But I wasn't. Instead of going to work, I drove straight to a lawyer's office. I want a divorce, I said. The words felt foreign in my mouth, but at the same time, they felt right. I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to ask her to change. I was just going to leave. We went over the legal process, splitting assets, the house, the accounts. I made it clear, I'm not getting screwed over in this. By the time I left his office, the paperwork was already in motion. I wasn't turning back. The house was quiet when I returned that afternoon. Clara wasn't home. She was probably out with friends, drinking lattes and laughing, completely unaware that by the time she walked through that door again, everything would be different. I took my time. I went to the closet, pulled out a suitcase, and started packing. Every shirt, every book, every trace of my existence in that house. Gone. I didn't rush. There was no anger in my movements. No sadness. Just finality. I zipped up the last bag. The place already felt different, emptier, like I had never really belonged there. I stepped into the kitchen, pulled my wedding ring off my finger, and placed it on the counter. The small metallic sound echoed louder than it should have. Then I grabbed a pen and a notepad from the drawer and wrote a single sentence. If I am not your priority, then you are no longer mine either. I set the note beside the ring, took one last look around, and walked out the door. I didn't slam it. I didn't look back. I just left. That night, I checked into a hotel, expecting to feel guilt, sadness, maybe even regret. Instead, I felt relief. But Clara, she lost it. A few hours later, my phone started buzzing. Calls. Texts. Kevin, how could you do this? You're leaving me? Are you insane? You think you can just walk away from me? I'll take everything from you. I didn't answer. 2 days later, she was served with the divorce papers. That's when the real war started. At first, she played the victim. Mutual friends started calling, asking what had happened. She said I blindsided her. Jake told me over the phone. I let out a humorless laugh. Blindsided? She told everyone she had no idea I was unhappy. He continued. She's saying you abandoned her out of nowhere. That was Clara twisting the truth. But I didn't explain myself. I didn't need to. When the sympathy act didn't work, she turned to threats. Her messages grew angrier, more vicious. You think you're going to get away with this? I'll make sure you regret it. You're not walking away clean, Kevin. I'll take everything. And she tried. She demanded half my savings, the house, even my car. But she had underestimated me. My lawyer had set everything up before I ever walked out that door. My accounts were protected. My assets were secure. She had no leverage. If she wants the house, I told my lawyer she'll have to buy me out. And she couldn't. She never could. As the divorce battle dragged on, I started rebuilding my life. I got a new apartment. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. A space that didn't carry memories of someone who had once made me feel like I didn't matter. For the first time in years, I did things for me. I went back to the gym, started traveling, reconnected with old friends I had lost touch with because I had spent too much time catering to Clara. Then one evening I met Maria. It wasn't some grand movie-like moment. No sparks flying, no dramatic love at first sight. Just a simple conversation. We crossed paths at a coffee shop, exchanged a few words, and somehow it just clicked. It was easy. She wasn't playing games. She wasn't making me chase her or wonder where I stood. She was real. We took things slow. I wasn't ready to jump into something serious right away, and she respected that. But as months passed, it became something more. Unlike Clara, Maria actually showed up. When I talked, she listened. When I made plans, she was excited, not indifferent. When I had a long day, she checked in. Not because she needed something, but because she cared. For the first time, I felt like I wasn't just someone's option. I was their choice. Months passed, and the divorce battle finally came to an end. Clara had fought like hell, convinced she could bleed me. But when the judge ruled in my favor, when she realized she wasn't getting a house, wasn't touching my savings, and was walking away with far less than she expected, I saw it. Panic. Desperation. She had spent months trying to break me, but in the end, she had only destroyed herself. When I stepped out of the courthouse that day, I was smiling. And waiting for me outside, standing in the sunlight, was Maria. She looked up, met my eyes, and smiled back. I walked up to her, wrapping an arm around her waist. "Done," she asked softly. "Done." She leaned in and kissed me, slow and sure. And that was the moment Clara snapped. "You bastard." Her scream cut through the air like a gunshot. Before I even had time to react, Clara came storming forward, her face twisted in rage, her eyes locked onto Maria. In a second, she lunged. She grabbed Maria by the hair, yanking her backward. "Get away from my husband, you." A security guard grabbed her within seconds, pulling her back, but she fought like a wild animal. Maria stumbled, steadying herself, shock flashing across her face. I stepped in front of her, shielding her from the chaos. Clara thrashed against the security guard's grip, her face red with fury. "You don't get to replace me," she screamed. "You think you can just move on after everything we built? After everything I did for you?" I stared at her, calm, unshaken. "We're over, Clara," I said, my voice steady. "Move on." Her breath hitched, and in that moment, something shifted in her expression. Not just anger, fear. Because for the first time, she realized I wasn't coming back. She had lost. Months passed. Clara faded into the background of my life, like an old memory that no longer held any weight. Maria had moved in with me. It wasn't a rushed decision. Nothing about us had been rushed. It just made sense. She fit into my life in a way Clara never had. There was no tension, no walking on eggshells, no feeling like I had to earn her love. It was easy, peaceful. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for something to go wrong. As for Clara, I heard things here and there. She dated, but nothing stuck. No relationship lasted longer than a few weeks. The people she surrounded herself with, the ones she always prioritized over me, had moved on, busy with their own lives. The house, the one she fought so hard to keep, she couldn't afford to buy me out, so we sold it. And when everything was settled, she walked away with far less than she had expected. I should have felt bad, but I didn't, because she had made her choices. And now, she was living with them. Then one night, as I lay in bed half asleep, my phone vibrated on the nightstand. Maria was curled up beside me, her breathing soft and steady. I was just about to drift off when it buzzed again. At first, I ignored it, but something told me to look. I reached for my phone, squinting at the screen. One new message from Clara. I stared at it for a second before opening it. I was stupid. "I'm sorry. Please take me back." That was it. No manipulation. No anger. Just a simple, desperate plea. I read it twice. Then, without hesitation, I deleted it. No response. No reaction. Nothing. because some people don't deserve a second chance. And I had finally found a happiness I deserved.